Seems like we're gonna do a cold start this evening. Yep. I just kind of felt that way. You know? Sometimes it's like that. Let's go ahead. Let's get this show on the road. It ain't everything I kind of ready for, but we're kind of ready. We'll be ready, you know. As soon as we're ready, we're gonna be. Friday. Is it Friday for you? Friday for you yet? It's 2 minutes to Friday for me. 2 minutes to Friday. Friday. Boom. Bam. How we all doing? It's your man, TheeBucketMan. TOTworldwide. We are worldwide, as you can see. New location, new home, new me, who dis. I don't know. Yeah. We, did a little move. So, BKT has moved on over to Phoenix, Arizona, as you can see down below. Oh, that will twerk for tips is a little. That's aggressive. Just remove that one. We twerk it to work it. Like we work it to twerk it. But like real talk, yeah. We don't need to push that all the time. It does say it in little letters down there. Hashtag will twerk for tips. But like, that's what I'm saying. We don't need doubles. Okay, cool. But yeah, it's been a while. Haven't gone online, so I just want to make sure everything is up, going smoothly, doing things, functioning. That'd be cool. So far so good. I mean, seems decent. We'll go ahead and bring up the new work that I've been doing. So yeah, as you can see, the computer came with me. A spaceship, mothership, bucket mothership, landed. There we go. That's the one I was looking for. That's how we get it. Yeah, so we're playing some Bucket originals right now. These are just from the archives. Go on SoundCloud. Please play some more. You guys have played over 5,000 streams of my music, my mixes, my originals, my stuff. 5,000. SoundCloud was popping in this last year. You guys, thank you very much. Apparently, people like listening to my music, which is good. Why is this over the top of everything in sight? I don't like that. Collapse. SoundCloud. Boom, 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 ba-da-boom. Give $15. Is it just like a click thing and you get money? I don't think that's how money works. Continue. Oh, share a free month? What? of Artist Pro with a friend. Oh, once I subscribe. Okay, cool. I will actually do that. I will copy that. If you want to sign up for SoundCloud, let me know. Share free month. Apparently, you get 15 bucks. Take this invite link. Go ahead and utilize that. Get a free month of SoundCloud. SoundCloud Pro is actually really utilized a lot of my music. Everything from the beginning was SoundCloud. SoundCloud rapper for life. Yahurd. No, but I did release my first albums here. I did release first mix series, Two Lit Tuesdays, then later on the Vibe series, and now down the rabbit hole where we're at here from the DJ streams that we had on this channel. Those were good. Let me turn that down. There we go. So yeah, I'm gonna get back into vibes, back into things. But oh no, I want to go to insights. I want to see how many. I said 5,000, but like, no, not in 7 days. Oh, there's 0 in 7 days. Play my music. I haven't seen that in a while. I've been moving though. I haven't been posting anything, not even a single thing. Look, almost 6,000 plays. Oh my god, I knew we passed the 5, but thank you all. Much love. BKT loves you. Hats off, literally. You guys have helped me go through a lot of transitional phases, through a lot of things. And speaking of transitional phases, we're all in the upgrade modes of life. So, the Bucket Store is now fully dark mode. So please head on over, check it out. Got new painting available. Got new items, throw blankets, gaming mouse pads. Oh, why is this so big? Turn that down. There we go. Let you see more of the site there. And then now with all the integrations of my social medias and stuff, it has made it that this is a multifunctional website. Now you can watch the time lapse. You click here, and it'll take you straight to my YouTube video from when I created the Master of All art piece. So this is a digital art piece that was quite a fun experience to go ahead and put together with 1 day challenge. It's 12 hours to myself of what can I do from when I wake up to when I go to sleep. It's a challenge. It's just something that I was currently interested in. I mean, I've always been interested in Avatar the Airbender, but since I was a kid, but I was rewatching it at the time, I guess, and it struck me, the concept of being in all my elements and maintaining time and being persistence, music, art, all of it together. This has been a collaboration of many different elements of art. That's art. This is art. That's elements. They're things. Yeah, so that's where Theory of Things comes along. The whole concept of this has been going on for a very long time, decades in the making. But we out here. We big out here, fam. And then, so as you go, I don't know why I just, I just skipped to one of my Bucket originals, my more undergroundy. Turn this up totally, and then now you can hear the hear myself. And hear myself think. So yeah, the website's been updated, gone through. Oh, and awesome, two new things. On Tuesday, Tuesday, I went through here. It says right here at the bottom, everyone, our store has regular updates all the time. I went through on Tuesday and I made $20 buckets. Okay, all buckets now $20. Get a bucket with a bucket logo on it. Any design, any shape, all $20. And then another cool thing is all my t-shirts. So the bucket tees, they're all $20 now. Kids and for little babies, they're $20 for a little baby t-shirt. They're $20, man. $20 for all of them, except for the crop tee. The crop tee, that one's like a stretchy, like a different material. You know what? Fuck it. Let's make it $20. $20. I don't even care. I love you, ladies. Ladies deserve proper treatments. So we'll just go ahead and drop that one too while we're at it. Okay, we'll just take that over here. Yeah, and I don't know what's going on. What's up with this? I got a lot of sessions, guys. You guys are going to the website a lot. I got a lot of people on the website. But we need to make some more sales. So help me with these conversion rates. Go ahead and place some orders. I'll tell you what, the first few couple orders, I got some special gifts for y'all. Hand-painted goodness. Straight from Hawaii. Maybe I'll do something from Phoenix, but nah, we'll get you something from Hawaii. I got stuff from over there. Oh, I got my prints that I brought over. Ooh. I'll hand send you a print for the first 10 sales on my website. Hand signed and everything. Much love. Just gotta, I mean, you're buying art for art and art's sake. Might as well send you free art, right? So yeah, we're gonna make that one $20 too. We'll do that at a later time. No, sorry. I'm not gonna get too distracted here. I was already super distracted. Everything that could be anything was going kind of sideways. Wild. Okay. Does this thing even have a limiter? This thing doesn't even... Ew. I'm so sorry, everyone. There. Does that sound better? Does that... Am I not crossing the threshold as hard now? Things should be a little bit better. Okay. Yeah, so all t-shirts, like I said, $20. Sick. There's definitely more t-shirts than this. I gotta add. Do I have to? There's so many things to do when you build your own website. But like, you know, it's kind of helpful. It's taken years. It's been lots of evolutions. And this latest black edition, I do like it dark. Darker. Oh yeah, and I guess, yeah. We're inclusive. That's what it means. Dark mode. Okay, so on this next one, we're just gonna go like that and like that. And so what I was trying to do was nerd really hard. I was gonna show us we were like watching movies and doing stuff, and then like as I was trying to do my basic computer stuff, as I was trying to stream and get everything ready, I was running into issues and my computer needed an entire restart, and it wasn't for anything other than Windows. So we're going on a journey. I'm going to figure it out.
Now that
I need to install Linux on this thing. I have an extra hard drive. That hard drive is... Ooh. I mean, I don't know. See, I don't know how I'm gonna end up making it. Does it literally wipe everything of the Windows side? Or am I able to keep the data and then it's switch? We gotta go on a journey. So, this is where Down the Rabbit Hole comes as a show concept. This has been a show concept of mine for a while. This is not just a mix series, a mix stream, a thing, a stuff. Down the Rabbit Hole has been my show here on Twitch to you guys, going down rabbit holes of all different types, whether it's entertainment or DJing or music or art, or there's been a lot of things we've done with this show since this has been the first show that I started on Twitch, and I've done a few different like kind of offshoots, but like it keeps coming back, and like ultimately everything is a rabbit hole, like down all of the rabbit holes. So that's why I've now turned it into a multi-purpose show, and all of the shows are now just one. This is it. This is the show. This is me. And now I don't have to worry about timing, theming, things, stuff like that. Okay, Too Lit Tuesdays is still a thing. That's a damn thing. Too Lit Tuesdays does not change. I gotta figure that one out. That one will have a special little hole set up. But for the most part, there's gonna be rabbit holes that we go down all summer long. We're in a new location, new place, new stuff. Hawaii was awesome. Fucking sick. I love it. Aloha vibes all day. Aloha's in my veins. The Polynesian culture. I lived in Polynesia, 3 different countries for the last like 8 or 9 years. I earned my stripes, as one would say. Yeah, moved there from Tahiti, from Bora Bora. And then prior to that, I lived in Auckland, New Zealand. My followers have been following, and it has been a worldwide journey. All started from Fresno, California, though, so small, humble beginnings. And then, yeah, adventure on. So speaking of humble beginnings and adventuring on, PewDiePie is a streamer of sorts, I would say. Just saying. He the man, but like real talk, this level of nerding has not been needed for me. I was just cool with Windows, and like it's been fine, and, like it's whatever. But this last year where I was trying to redo things and reinstall and reset everything up, it's been a pain in the ass. And it keeps restarting on me, it keeps doing stuff. Now it's trying to get me to upgrade to Windows 11. I don't want to do it. I just don't want to do it. So instead of upgrading to Windows 11, what I'm going to do is upgrade to Windows Linux. You heard? Yeah.
PewDiePie has started using.
We're gonna go on a little journey here. This video caught me earlier. I watched a couple of minutes of it, and then I was like, you know what? I'm gonna let the people go on this rabbit hole with me. Like, this is a journey we can all enjoy and all probably benefit from in some way, shape, or form. And I don't know how, but we'll see. Without further ado, let's kind of figure out how to install Linux on this computer. I'm debating, I'm probably not going to do it super soon, but I'd like to do it at least. It says I could do it on a thumb drive, and it says that I can like at least have fun with it, so I might do it on that spare drive. I literally was tearing apart my computer when I was putting it back together. I was putting it back together, and it went underneath. There was literally a hard drive just chilling, 750 gigs, and not plugged into anything. So, that is available, and it's just needs some cords. I need one power cord for that as a slight oversight. But yeah, I will definitely be trying to look into getting this installed sooner rather than later. I don't like having to shut down everything and restart. I literally had to shut down my entire computer and restart it just so it would run cleaner. It just started freaking out. It's not good. It's definitely, and it's got plenty of power. It's not a power problem. And I know it's a Windows problem. Windows is Windows. That's a Windows thing. That's PC master race for the win. But that means I gotta nerd harder. So let's nerd
using Linux on not
harder.
one, but two of his personal computers, the year of the Linux desktop must surely be upon us. Thousands of you will be trying Linux for the very first time, so here are some steps for you to make that transition to the base Penguin OS as smooth as possible. Best piece of advice I can give is to try Linux before you actually install it. This is a feature that so many people don't even think about with an operating system, but Linux has had it for a long time. You can load most Linux distros off a bootable flash drive and then play around with them on your computer without removing any of your data. So this gives you the opportunity to get familiar with the software that ships with your distro and find alternatives if you're coming from Windows before you burn that bridge back to the Microsoft plantation, which leads me to choosing the right distro for you. This is probably the most overwhelming part of switching for newcomers because there's so many choices. And your first choice probably isn't going to be the last one you end up on. Distro hopping is a real thing, and it's okay. But Linux Mint is a great starting point if you're switching from Windows. A big reason is because Mint is considered a just works distro. You can install it and start using it with no problems 99% of the time, but the biggest factor here for Windows users is that the Cinnamon desktop environment is laid out very similarly to Explorer.exe or whatever Microsoft is calling the Windows desktop these days. And there's even themes for Cinnamon to make it look exactly like the Windows 10 or 11 taskbars, start menus, icons, and so on. And because you can customize literally everything in Linux, you're probably going to get into optimizing and pricing your desktop, as we call it, to make it as beautiful and efficient for your workflow as possible. And it's usually easier to go through a full customization on a bare bones distro like Arch Linux, but don't get the idea that Mint or any other of these just works distros are really resource heavy. You can see if I open up the system monitor here that Linux Mint is basically idling right now and using less than 4 gigs of memory. And actually, it's not truly idling. I have several different Firefox tabs open, and of course, all web browsers these days and modern websites are relatively heavy. But this is still about the same amount of memory, or possibly even less, than you would get from a modern Windows 11 desktop that's just idling with nothing else open. So even these all-in-one, ready-to-go Linux distros are much snappier and take up way fewer resources than Windows, and the software on here is also a lot more minimal. You aren't forced to have Microsoft Edge on your computer. It comes with Firefox instead. You aren't forced to have WordPad or anything else that's going to take up space on your hard drive needlessly, and if you don't like any application on here, you can actually remove it. That's right, Linux gives you the freedom to do whatever the hell you want on your computer. And the low resource usage also makes Linux a great way to breathe new life into an old computer. Like if you have a laptop from the Windows 7 or even the Windows 10 laptop that couldn't be upgraded to Windows 11 for whatever reason, maybe it didn't support the right TPM modules, and so you went off and bought a new PC, well, you can throw Linux on that old computer and try it out. Hopefully, you're able to try it out and be satisfied with it before the return time is up for your new computer. So, let me show you how you can actually get started with using Linux.
to that
So
other
obviously
microphone's
you're
been
going
on
to
this
need to
entire
download
time.
Linux Mint, and there's
I
actually
am
a few different
going to
editions that you
lose
can
it.
download. The only real differences though is the
God, that
desktop
didn't
environment.
actually have it.
So all of them are going to have a Windows-like setup, but the
Like I was
XFCE
saying,
edition
the setup
is
has
a
been
little
a
bit more
long
lightweight than
process.
the Mate or the
Making
Cinnamon
everything work
edition.
together.
So you may prefer to use
Birds of
this
feather
one if you're going to
flock
be installing
together.
Linux to a much older system, like 4 gigs of RAM or less, and you don't really care much about all the eye candy that
I got
comes with
32
Cinnamon.
gigs of RAM.
But if you're used to the bloat of Windows and I guess the eye candy that comes with it, then Cinnamon is definitely the right one for you.
32 is a nice little
And
sweet
the
spot.
other piece of this equation
64,
is
I did build
Rufus,
the
which
buddies.
lets you create
DDR5
bootable USB drives the
was
easy way,
64
just like
last
the
year.
website
So
says.
fast.
So once you have this
So fast.
downloaded, you're going to want to run Rufus.exe. And of course, you want to also have your ISO downloaded. Usually when you go to download them, they recommend downloading it through a torrent, but if you don't have a torrent application, you can also download it from any of these mirrors here. Whichever one is closest to you will probably be the best. Now, back in Rufus, you want to make sure that you select the right device. If you only have one external hard drive, or at least no other external devices connected, then it should just read your flash drive. For some reason, it's reading this, which I think is actually my capture card. But anyway, just make sure that you choose the right one. I know it's my PNY USB right here. And then we want to go ahead and click this select button next to boot selection and choose our ISO. So it'll be Linux Mint 22.1 Cinnamon Edition. And this part is actually pretty important. You need to make sure you choose the right partition scheme. So if you're installing to a newer computer, and by newer, I mean probably newer than Windows 7. So like if it came with Windows 8, Windows 10, Windows 11, GPT is gonna be the partition scheme you wanna use. If it's an older computer, so Windows 7 or older, then you're probably gonna wanna use NVR so that everything boots and is compatible with your firmware.
The only thing
And the volume label, you can change this here if you want. One other thing that you may want to change is the persistent partition size. So, like I said, you can use Linux off of a live USB, but if you set persistence, you can actually save data and new applications you install to that USB. Okay, without it, the way that a live system works is you can install new apps, you can download things, make documents or whatever, but all of that new stuff is going to get removed from the flash drive when you reboot. So if you want to do like an extensive trial of Linux from the flash drive, go ahead and set yourself some persistence here. And once everything is set properly, we can go ahead and start. This process is going to take a couple of minutes, so feel free to get yourself a coffee while you wait. Okay, now we're ready to give Linux a test drive, but first we need to switch the boot configuration in our device's firmware. So normally the way people do that is when you restart the computer and it's first powering on, like when you see the splash screen, you press one of your function keys, usually F2, and then that brings you into your UEFI or BIOS menu. But on Windows, there's potentially a more reliable way to do that if your computer starts up really, really quickly. So first thing you want to do is open up your start menu and search for recovery options. And that's going to open you up to this system recovery screen here. And you want to click the restart button next to advanced startup.
Whole computer shuts down. Let me try that. No.
Alright, so when your computer comes back up, you'll see this screen here. You want to click on Troubleshoot, click on Advanced Options, and then click on your UEFI firmware settings. Click Restart. And there you go. You can see I'm now in my UEFI settings. And scroll over to boot, and we just need to change the boot option 1 here from the Windows Boot Manager
what motherboard does he have?
The PNY, or it's going to have the name of your flash drive here, and it'll most likely say UEFI before it. Save changes and restart.
Gigabyte motherboard, old school Gigabyte. Yeah, it is.
And boom, now we are using Linux. And check this out. Check out how quickly Linux Mint boots up compared to Windows 11. And also keep in mind that this is loading Linux Mint off of a flash drive instead of an internal NVMe drive. So it would be even quicker if we were booting, like if this is actually installed to the internal drive and you're loading it off of there.
Huh.
I think this is even maybe a USB 2 drive. Oh no, it is a USB 3. All right, here we go. Our desktop is started up now. All right, I just had to make some quick changes so that you could actually see my desktop because I had two displays connected, so this way everything is being captured by the capture card correctly. Yeah, this is the Linux desktop. So if we go into our, like, I guess you could call it the start menu here, we can look at the software manager, and this is basically like your repository where you can install software from. You can also do it from the command line if you want to be a cool guy, but this way you have a GUI, right, graphical user interface that you can access things from. So you can see VLC, Audacity, Spotify, Dropbox. A lot of the major applications that people use are already available on Linux, whether they're open source, proprietary, or whatever. You may have to do some searching around for different tools. Like for example, LibreOffice or OpenOffice is generally the Office replacement for Microsoft Office. You can still use Microsoft Office on Linux, but you got to use the online version. You may even be able to use it locally through Wine, but that's just going to be a pain in the butt because you're dealing with compatibility layers then. So make the switch to LibreOffice. If you're using the Adobe suite of tools, like with Adobe Photoshop, generally the alternative people would use is GIMP or some other online service like Photopea. You could also use Microsoft Edge if you really wanted to on Linux, but most of the distros will ship with the Firefox browser. And actually, that won't really work if I'm not connected to Wi-Fi, so let me just go ahead and do that real quick.
Oh, because it's a different operating system.
So boom, there you go. Wi-Fi. It's working flawlessly on Linux. Bluetooth also works. You know, most things these days, they just work on your Linux computer. And the same thing is said for a lot of games too. Like for a long time, one of the big reasons that gamers were not using Linux is, oh no, my games are not going to work. But now that the Steam Deck is out, and people are actually targeting Linux when developing their games, more of them are working natively every single day. And so when you're confident that Linux Mint or whichever distribution you chose is right for you, you can click on this, install Linux Mint application right here, and then this is going to walk you through the install steps to actually wipe your hard drive and put Linux on your computer. And make sure that all your data is backed up, of course, from the Windows partition on your hard drive. If you plan to do a full wipe, you also could do a dual boot of your system if you have enough space, which means that you keep your Windows partition and then you install Linux alongside it, and that way you can switch which one you want to boot into from the UEFI menu that I just showed you. And if you run into any issues, there is a Linux Mint forums. I think it's actually bookmarked in some
mission this summer.
No, it's
to take over this computer. That's another reason why I buried myself in the desert. Everyone, like, I love you all, but like, I just
so
too
you can
much
look
bucket
here
going around for everyone.
Bucket
needs to stay to himself for a minute
on your
like,
Linux installation.
focus
And
on
then if you choose Ubuntu, there's
getting
also
this shit all organized.
forums and Arch forums.
I have a lot going on. There's a lot of pieces of this puzzle, and I really want to do it right.
Is probably
I don't want to give you guys
a
half-ass in and out here once a month type bucket like I've been. Like, it's not cool.
switch
get,
to
I wanna
Arch,
get
and then you'll
systematically,
actually
like,
probably end up having a
streaming
much better time.
consistently.
But that's it for this video, folks. Switch to Linux, and if you enjoyed it, be sure to like and
So,
share it to
5
help the
days a week
algorithm.
is the new
And
goal.
check out my website, base.win, where you can buy
This is
my
the first
awesome merch
stream that we
or
actually
accessories
get
for
to
your phone or
test it
laptop.
and see
10%
how the
discount store-wide
stream
when you
works.
pay with Monero XMR at checkout.
While the woman
Have a
is
great rest of
streaming
your day.
too, that's a good thing. Now we get to see we're both working and seeing if we can work from home and not have an issue. Oh, damn.
Japan has an epidemic
God, I want
of
this little
microcars.
toy so bad.
And ironically, it's for exactly the same reason that America has an epidemic of SUVs. See, you don't have an SUV in your driveway because you liked it. You have an SUV in your driveway because the government made a series of decisions that made it cheaper and easier for car companies to design, engineer, and manufacture SUVs. So they made them more attractive to you. Terrible fuel economy? Not interested. Horrible handling? Wait a second, it's cheaper? Why, I'll take two. And pretty much everyone has. The same exact thing happened in Japan, just in the opposite direction, encouraging tiny little efficient cars. And in the process,
They have
the
this
Japanese
music in the
government
background.
created an entire
Rob,
class of vehicles that
if
people
this
would
is
have
from
otherwise
something else
not
that I'm
wanted.
playing,
And that includes
also
3 of the coolest
Nah,
little
it's definitely
cars
them.
ever made. Fired.
Video editing, I've been getting into that a
Okay,
lot
so
more.
I may have made it sound like you have no free
We'll see
will.
some new ones
That's
coming
not
soon.
entirely true. But in the auto industry, there's a definite order to chicken and egg. And that order is often the reverse of what you think.
For example, you may think that a speed limit is a predetermined thing that tells you the rate at which you may drive down a stretch of road. No, not in America at least. Here, a speed limit is determined and then adjusted based on the prevailing speed at which people actually drive on that road. Meaning, if you could just convince people to drive more quickly, you could compel the government to actually raise the speed limit on a section of road. It's the same sort of backwards causality that created the K car. It's not like Japanese society woke up one day and said, hey, you know what would be great? A whole bunch of underpowered cars that are so small we barely fit in them. The Japanese government created that want.
In 1949, the Japanese government created a special class of vehicles called K-Jidosha with 2 goals. 1, to help bolster the reeling post-war economy, and 2, to help get cars into the population's hands.
The idea was to encourage motorcycle manufacturers, like Honda, to use spare parts to construct ultra-inexpensive 3- and 4-wheeled motorized vehicles. The engines needed to be motorcycle-sized, under 150cc, and while the cars had to be tiny, the tax advantages to buyers were huge.
Didn't work. Not until almost a decade later, when those engine and size limits had been significantly expanded. One car company finally figured out how to make an inexpensive, desirable K car with mass appeal. That was the Subaru 360. The 360 sparked the market, and Japan saw a 30-year run of trucks, vans, pickups, and every other body style imaginable, all in miniaturized form.
By the late 1980s, though, the Japanese economy was roaring, and so the K cars got left behind. Even though they could now have 550cc engines, that just wasn't enough for the me generation. So beginning 1990, K cars were allowed once again to expand in size, but also to get a big bump in displacement, which meant they could now have engines big enough for air conditioning. That's where the party got started.
The first to arrive was the 1991 Honda Beat, the other mid-engined 8,500 RPM, 40mm shift-throw manual transmission 2-seat Honda designed by Pininfarina. Like the NSX that dropped around the same time, the Beat was personally signed off by Soichiro Honda. It would be the last car he approved, as he passed away less than 3 months after its reveal.
The Beat was the world's first fully open mid-engine monocoque production car. It was also the first mid-engine K car and the first to get side impact door beams, an airbag, and 4-wheel disc brakes. But of course, the first thing you're noticing is this outrageously cool zebra fabric.
You are the
but that's not the
crumble
most significant part of the Beat's cabin. That's that it's asymmetrical. The driver's side is a full inch wider than the passenger side, which means even big people like me can fit. And it suffers from none of the typical mid-engine car crooked driving position crap. No, it's perfect. This is your typical everyday Honda packaging miracle.
It had a trunk and a frunk, standard air and power windows. The star of the Beat, though, is and always was the engine.
3 cylinders displacing a total of 656 cc's, each breathing through its own 36mm throttle body, and using a fuel injection strategy that Honda derived for its Formula One cars. It uses one set of inputs at idle and another under load, all in the name of just one thing.
He used to ride quads with
Look, it even says it right there. Multi-throttle responsive engine control. And the Beat's goal, according to Honda's own documentation, was to be unreasonably fun. And so that 8,500 RPM lunatic that you can't even see totally dominates the driving experience with some of the nastiest, filthiest, dirtiest, most outspoken engine noises this side of a Porsche 911 GT3 RS. And I mean that.
There's no VTEC here, so peak torque doesn't happen until 7,000 RPM, and then peak power comes in at 8,100. All 64 metric horsepower, the Beat is the most powerful naturally aspirated K car ever made, and the only one to ever hit the 64 horsepower limit.
There is no legal limit. Tell your friends, I don't care what you read on Wikipedia. There is no legal limit to the amount of horsepower that a K car can make. There is only a gentleman's agreement among the members of the Japanese Automobile Manufacturers Association, whereby they all pledged that they wouldn't make an engine that makes more than 64 horsepower. That's it. Oh, and also, 64 wasn't chosen arbitrarily. This is another one of those chicken and the egg things. See, 64 was chosen because there was already an engine in production that made 64 horsepower.
In production by Suzuki. In 1987, Suzuki had introduced the Alto Works, a hot hatch with a 543cc turbocharged double overhead cam, 4-valve per cylinder triple that made, you guessed it, 64 horsepower. The addition of that turbocharger and all them cams and valves made JAMA worry that there was a horsepower war brewing. They were not wrong.
JAMA has no legal authority in the same way that the SAE doesn't here, but regulates how horsepower is measured and then advertised. And what happened was JAMA said to its members, guys, we just hit 64 horsepower. Can we all agree that's enough? And they did.
For the record, JAMA members also agreed to the 280 horsepower max for regular cars, a number chosen because the most powerful car sold in Japan was the Nissan Fairlady Z, which made, you guessed it, 280 horsepower.
When the K-car regulations expanded in 1990 to allow more displacement, Suzuki punched out that motor to 657 cc's, still rated at 64 horsepower, turned it around 90 degrees and mounted it longitudinally in the front of a front-engine, rear-wheel drive Austin Healey for the 1990s called the Suzuki Cappuccino. This is a latte.
Released just 6 months after the Honda, the Cappuccino was the first K car to use double wishbone and multi-link suspension, and it was the first front mid layout with that engine fully behind the front axle. It was also available with a Torsen limited slip diff and anti-lock brakes.
This is serious sports car stuff, and the Cappuccino had serious sports car speed. Suzuki claimed 0 to 60 in the 8s, which makes it 5 seconds quicker than the Honda Beat. The best part about a gentleman's agreement is that there is no such thing as a gentleman, especially when turbos are involved. The Cappuccino made 1.5 times as much torque as the Honda did at first. And then Suzuki put an all-new engine in the Cappuccino late in its life, and it made twice as much torque as the Honda. Then the same 64 horsepower.
The Cappuccino looks and drives like a Miata that was shrunken down to half size and then left with an air hose attached for a little too long. But it has the proportions of a traditional sports car with the driver barely in front of the rear axle. Its top is super cool, using removable hardtop panels made of aluminium. And depending on which ones you removed, it could be a closed coupe, a T-top coupe, a Targa, or a full convertible.
As a classically designed front-engine, rear-wheel drive sports car with a genuinely lovely interior, it's no surprise the Cappuccino was as popular as it was, selling almost as many units as the Beat. But what's ironic is that Suzuki's first development of its K sports car started with the engine in the middle, not up front, back there, like Honda.
Way back in 1985, Suzuki had shown the mid-engined RS1 concept. 2 years later, it followed up with a similar RS3. And though Suzuki abandoned that car in favor of the front-engined Cappuccino, that mid-engined RS car did make it into production as the AutoZam AZ1.
It's ironic that the last of the trio to go on sale was actually the first to start development as that Suzuki RS1. And looking at the timeline, it's easy to see how the RS1 and RS3 could have actually been what got Honda thinking about making a mid-engine K car in the first place.
Should be looking
which would mean that the last of the bunch actually inspired the first of the bunch. Or in other words, the chicken hatched and became an egg. By the way, who the hell is AutoZam?
In the very late 1980s, Mazda decided it would split its products into 5 different brands, much like GM had been doing with Chevy, Pontiac, Buick, Oldsmobile, and Cadillac.
AutoZam brand would concentrate on rebadged Lancias and also on Mazda's K cars, most of which were rebadged Suzukis. When Mazda found out about Suzuki's plans to walk away from the mid-engine car, Mazda asked them to please continue development and installed a bunch of the team members who had just finished working on that unbelievably legendary NA Miata. First order of business was to graft Mazda's styling onto Suzuki's engineering.
At the 1989 Tokyo Motor Show, Mazda showed 3 concepts, all called AZ550 Sports, named after the then-current 550cc Engine Max. Type A was a friendly city runabout. Type B was a super lightweight sports car. Type C was a Le Mans-inspired endurance racer. Mazda asked the public which it liked best, and the vote was overwhelmingly for Type C.
And Mazda ignored them in favor of Type A because that would be more commercially viable. Fair enough. The production car lost the pop-up headlights and the aluminum frame, but it kept the removable panels made out of fiberglass that made up this car's outrageous body.
If the engine is the centerpiece of the Beat, and the classic sports car recipe is the headline for the Cappuccino, it's the body that defines the AZ1. It's a mashup of the greatest hits of the supercar world, starting of course with the 300 SL style gull-wing doors, and then onto the Ferrari F40-esque rear spoiler, the Lamborghini Countach-ish windows, the McLaren F1-like taillights, the Testarossa-inspired strakes, and discount Ford RS200 headlights and air scoop.
Add to that the driving position of a Bugatti EB110, which means it's completely crooked. But because this car is half the size, I'm stuck. Also, there's no frunk, and there's no trunk, and there would be storage on the shelf behind me, except there's a spare tire there, which is a little weird because, hold on, come with me. Back here is a spot for the spare tire.
Problem was, in crashes, the spare tire pushed the steering column towards the driver, so AutoZam sent out a carrying pouch and asked owners to relocate the spare tire to the rear parcel shelf. Safety first.
Speaking of safety, apparently these little guys have a reputation back at home because there's a lot of camber change over the suspension's travel, especially at the rear. And that means snap oversteer, and that means rollovers. And that's especially troubling in a car with gull-wing doors that you can't open when you're on the roof. Oh well, these are inexpensive cars. You're gonna have to sacrifice something, even if that something is you. That's harsh. Can I say that? We're an insurance company.
Can you say that? Insurance?
Ow!
That's real. Haggerty
Anyway,
Auto
the AZ1
Insurance
was built
is
by
what
Suzuki
makes
for
these
Mazda.
videos.
And though Mazda pushed the
Blew me
project
away when I
along, the
first
bulk
found
of the
out.
engineering
I was
was done by Suzuki.
Are you serious? Wait,
And so
what?
the AZ1 used the same 2
Haggerty
Suzuki
Auto
engines that the
Insurance?
Cappuccino had, turned back 90
Produces
degrees to
the
their original
videos?
transverse layout, and with the strongest 64 horsepower this side of 128 horsepower.
That's a little monster. This thing is genuinely quick. But the AutoZam AZ1 was a marketplace failure. They sold just 4,392 of them, plus 531 identical Suzuki Caras, meaning the other two cars each outsold the AutoZam 6-1. And the reason for that wasn't just the cramped interior or the sketchy handling. It was because the boom economy that had created these little party animals had bust by the time the AZ1 finally hit dealerships. Coolest guy at the party, but it got there after the cops had shut it down.
How ironic that the mid-engine Suzuki that sparked the idea of a K sports car would ultimately become a victim of its own tardy timing. And it wasn't even that late. It was only a year after the Cappuccino and a year and a half after the Beat. But by that point, Honda had already sold two-thirds of the Beats it would ever produce.
I was getting ahead of myself
short
By some measures, Japan's recession lasted
Linux
25 years. And although that meant the end of those legends, all of that economic downtime continued to fuel the popularity of the K car.
Though in the form of practical little boxes that were inexpensive to buy, put on the road, insure, maintain, and fuel. And today, 40% of the cars on the road in Japan are K cars, just like half the cars on our roads are SUVs.
Both of those categories of vehicles exist because a government decided they would be advantageous. And when an economic boom period collided head-on with legislation that had been designed to mobilize the economically disadvantaged, well, the craziest little thing happened. 3 times.
They always do the sound bites at the end. ASMR. ASMR of the engine. Listen to it go furrow. Oh, baby turbo. Oh, baby turbo Suzuki, it goes. It's like a little Mazda MX-5, but smaller. It revs to 8,500 RPM. The AutoZam though. Ooh, what the turbo noises? Oh, it'd be so fun. You could ring it out for a year and you'd never hit the limit. Just 9,000 RPM that thing just passed. That's insane.
Oh, hi. I didn't see you standing there. But since you're there, let me ask you a question. Do you know about Ask Haggerty? That's a service that we offer to Haggerty Drivers Club members where you can call in and ask anything. It's also the only way. Hold on, there's a caller right now. Thank you for calling Ask Haggerty. This is Jason. How can I help you?
Yeah, so that Linux thing.
The red line on that engine is 7,200
I'm gonna get
RPM.
into the Linux
You're
distro.
welcome.
I just definitely, I do like Dingpods. We'll watch Dingpods video on it too.
Get stuffed, Apple.
Because I was thinking
and
about
especially
it. I really don't think that I could just go and do that. Like, you just, it's risking it. It's too much risk it for the biscuit. There's a good biscuit though. I do know Linux is a good biscuit because all I would have to install is only what I need. And I want a computer just for the streaming stuff. Like, I turn the computer on and it's not the one that's gonna be trying to upload all my accounts and things and stuff and type here for search. No. I want it to say what I want it to say. But it's doing pretty good, and as long as the Windows didn't keep freaking out and bugging out on me like that would be nice. But it is, so that's that. So now I'm interested in Linux. So
Microsoft, right?
now
You know
down
why?
we're- down
I'm
another
turning
rabbit
into
hole.
a penguin. Yeah, mate, for the most part, I've jumped over to
As a
Linux.
musician.
I keep whinging all the time how there's a lot of
Got
modern
great
tech stuff.
reviews, great tech stuff, great advice. I've been watching Dank Pods for years. He actually, I think he's Aussie. He's from Australia, and it's absolutely just fantastic advice. So if he's talking about the Linux, let's see what's up.
Stuff that I really just don't like at all. But yeah, I complain a lot about it, so much to the point where some people swear that I hate capitalism, but I can't help be offended when a company makes billions every 3 months and then goes, oh, we got to raise our prices because it's tough out there, isn't it? And the snarky response I get is like, well, if you don't like it, then don't buy it. That's an excellent idea. Personally, I can't stand Windows. Everyone calls me an Apple stooge because of this, like, stupid iPad. Never mind that it's in such poor conditions because I keep, one gritting nuggets on it. Wah! See, look at the duck particles, My first ever lick of the internet back in the late 90s was on an iMac because that's what the schools had. But our first home computer, Windows 98, we moved to XP. Our school had XP. Then I survived Vista by reinstalling XP because Vista's garbage. I love reading comments saying it's not that bad. Well, it was, which is why it's got that reputation. And then 7, the best Windows that ever came out. No stupid logins, no forced, updates. It was just an OS. And then 8 happened, which is when I jumped out. I went Mac because I couldn't stand Windows anymore. I wasn't some sort of Apple absolutist or something. I just couldn't do the Windies anymore. And sorry to say, 10 is nowhere near as good as 7, right? And 11 is just bottom of the pits of misery. 10 is when all the forced ads were happening. 10 is when I couldn't control updates. I had a drum stream in 20 minutes. 30-minute update, and you can't stop it. But really, those ads, that's so offensive. Ads in an operating system that you've paid for from a company that earns ridiculous amounts of money is so offensive. I still had a Windows 10 gaming machine at this point, but what ended it was just Windows 11, the Copilot rubbish, the push for AI, and then seeing the whole world get brought to its knees through Windows. Technically not Windows' fault, but well. Tough luck, buddy. Oi, Apple ain't squeaky clean. They're having data leak issues. And that seems to be the new big thing nowadays is data. It's like the new gold to people. And in the same way that a capital investor would pull their money out if the market was getting rough, I feel that way with my data, which is why I'm going Linux. When I told people that I'm going Linux, it's going to be a nightmare. It's going to be so much work. You got to be typing script all the time. Things won't work magically. And I'm here to report they are right. They are absolutely right. There hasn't been fun. This has been very frustrating. The thing is, there's 2 sides to Linux, right? There's a really friendly, easy side, and then there's just a really scary side. And to get Linux onto a computer, it's so easy. You just need a sacrificial flash drive, right? You download the ISO. I use Ubuntu. That's the other thing. There's lots of different versions of Linux that you can get. Ubuntu to me just seems like the safest. I'm just really unbrave. I just want a computer that works. You need to burn it or etch it to the flash drive. You can't just drag and drop it on there. So I use Balena etcher, so then you kind of etch it onto this flash drive. Then on your computer, you got to get into your BIOS, you press F12 or depending on. You'll see it when it flashes up on the screen, and then you just ask the computer to talk to the flash drive first, and then off you go. You're installing Linux, and in no time you're going to be on the desktop, and you're going to be able to double click on Firefox and search up potato juice. I got the confidence to really jump into Linux after the Steam Deck. The fact that it's got a desktop mode, and it's just a computer. It's fine. It's got everything you need, keyboard and mouse straight into it, and the external display. I've happily lived out of this, and that's what really inspired me to have a good old go at it. So Ubuntu I find is really good at just putting together what you need just to get it going and working. Once you need more from that, it's a lot of things have a curve, the learning curve, as you want more from it, it gets harder. Well, Linux is more like this. It's a learning cliff, and you go dum 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 dum. Oh, what's this? Oh, it's called terminal. This is the lifeblood of Linux. You want to do nearly anything that's beyond just browsing the internet, you're going to be in terminal, and you've got to learn how to do script and whatnot. And to people who've lived and grown up with this and work with it professionally, I've got friends who work with Linux professionally. They're all abbreviations. It all makes sense. It's you can browse your entire computer in terminal, find JPEGs and videos, whatever. But to me, it is so complicated. I hate it. I just want a graphical user interface, just point and click mouse. And it's fun when the really hardcore Linux people go like, no way, mate, terminal for life, that's the best. I didn't understand that until I got a demo from like an actual Linux pro who, while they were like clacking away in terminal, were describing what was happening. You know, example, you want to install VLC. It's such a good video playing program, right? You know, so you go to the Google or whatever crappy search thing that doesn't find anything for you anymore. You type in VLC download. You skip the first 4 options because it's all just Temu sponsored ad. Then you go up to downloads and then you find your version. You double click that and you click, now you're downloading it. Well, in terminal, you can basically type the equivalent of download from server location. Bang, done. You've got it. And it blew me away. Like, you just see text going across the screen. They're working at lightning speeds. Although the difference is that with a graphical user interface and menus and clicking along, I can find something that I don't know exactly what I need. I know I need VLC, but I don't know what the latest version is. Whereas with the terminal version, you need to know exactly what you're looking for, and I never do. And another thing is that you gotta check off every single thing, like putting a new drive in the computer, right? And you format it, you partition it, whatever. You go to drag something in it and go, you can't put stuff on this, you don't have permission. You have to manually go in and enable permissions for every single little thing. Everything has a check and balance. To casual PC users, it's a nightmare. It is so... If you're not used to it, it's difficult. I know all the Linux people are just writhing in their chairs going, you just don't get it. So I've quit Linux because it's hard and difficult and it's nowhere near as easy as whatever mainstream things that most people use. No, I'm staying. I'm here for keeps. The big thing is that there's just so many data leaks. So many big companies are just completely untrustworthy. I don't trust Apple as far as I can throw them. My old Dankmas Simpsons remix thing, like people are like, oh, why don't you redo like all your ancient ones and put a new spin on them? It's like, I would, except iCloud ate them all years ago. I spoke to the engineers, everything. They never figured it out. I lost all of it. And I'm sick of paying subscriptions. I've actually ripped out all my data out of Dropbox, out of iCloud, every location, and I've built Linux storage boxes. They're not NASs, they're not on the network, but they've got whole banks of drives living inside of them where I back up everything in duplicate with 2 boxes in 2 different locations, you know, one at work, one at home. I've made my own storage basically. It's fussier. I have to manually do it because I don't want them on the network. I know that's really fussy and probably paranoid to hardcore users, but this is a peanut operation compared to giant companies and whatnot. But I'm kissing convenience goodbye. I just want control. And so with Linux, with all these checks and balances and things, that means if anyone tries to compromise your system, they gotta go through all the hoops all the same way. I mean, my analogy is like, it'd be so much easier here at work if I didn't have gates or roller doors and I just pulled straight in and walked straight to my office with nothing in my way. Except nothing would be there overnight because everyone would just run in and take it all. Instead, you got to wait for the gates open. You got to wait for roller doors to go up. You got to get your keys out to unlock the thing. You got to remember the passcode for the alarms and things. That's Linux. That's the difference, and that's how I'm treating it. Like, every year computers are just getting more compromised. Hackers are getting better and better. They've just got amazing equipment to work with, and lazy companies that just go, well, securing data doesn't really help with our profits. I mean, my gaming rig is on Linux. Like, when you watch me play, like, millions of sprites on a thing at once on my gaming channel, that was on Linux. But then, alternatively, I can't capture footage easily on it because, for some reason, there's some phantom display that has just a problem with the NVIDIA drivers, and it's balking the Elgato syncing up with it, and the freaking fix is to go into terminal and like really adjust Linux. Gaming on Linux does work for the most part thanks to Wine and Proton, but anti-cheat doesn't work. And so there's a lot of online multiplayer games that everyone loves and wants to play that just doesn't work on Linux yet, because my understanding is that anti-cheat is kind of like malware because it gets right into the system, and then like Linux doesn't want that. That's why it's more secure, because it doesn't like that. So it'd be interesting how they solve it at some point. But on the word of like, well, is Linux going to be completely mainstream given how like miserable Windows is and whatnot? No, not until SteamOS is just something that you can download and put on your computer instead of Windows. SteamOS has got like barriers. It stops you going too far. It resets stuff when you do a reboot, because you can bork a Linux machine really, really bad. It's ultimate control, but I don't want that much control. I just want security. But with a few decades under my belt and just seeing where a lot of tech's going, I don't mind losing all convenience if I can just control this thing for the most part. I do edit my videos on MacBooks, but nothing personal anymore. I've actually got a laptop. That's what I use at home, is a Linux laptop, a gaming one. It gets hot as heck, but I've put like 3 terabytes worth of SSD in it. It game's freaking awesome if you ask me. And when my MacBook Pro finally cacks it, that's when I'm finally just going to use DaVinci Resolve on Linux. So yeah, Linux, depending what you want from it, it's amazing. If you just want something
Resolve
easy,
on
you can
Linux.
slip in and
That's
out
what
of.
I asked
No,
earlier.
no. Unless you just
Can
want
I
a web
get my
browser, then it's
Resolve?
perfect. Think of how many computers you've got.
Hey,
That's
that's
all
my
you're
video
doing.
editing
It
software
runs
that I've
faster
been
on Linux. I had computers that
really
were slow stodges on
loving
11, Windows
after
11,
switching
jumped them
from
onto
Premiere.
Ubuntu.
I used
I could
Adobe
daily
Premiere
drive
for
it like it was
years.
nothing. I'm sure you got an
I
old-age
love
computer out there that can
Apple
run
has
Ubuntu, and if you just want to
their
practice on
products
it,
too.
do it. You'll
I
be
mean,
blown away
iMovie,
how
literally
crummy
their
Linux
basic
really
ass
can be.
free one.
Until it goes wrong, in which case you're kind of doomed. And that's it.
I
Thanks so
used
much
that
for
for a
watching.
long time.
Cheers, floaties. Oi, $2.80. You get 2.
But you know, just having the right software for the right project at the right time is very important. And having this all set up and working appropriately has been a fucking pain in the ass. But look, it's all running, it's all here, I'm here, we're safe, we're in paradise, so can't really complain about that. Paradise is where you make it. You have to create your own paradise. Oh, that is not a paradisey song. That's where's that? Yeah. So thank you yet again for everyone for joining me down the rabbit hole. I'm gonna check out the stream, check out the scene, see how everything ends up. Overall though, pretty stoked. Everything's coming together. Everything's working. I am getting my drones all up and functioning again. I got my little baby guy, made it. A little homebrew. This was a hand-built drone. It's based off of an Inductrix back in the day. Horizon Hobbies. But then I custom built it with a carbon fiber and aluminum chassis from who was this? This is RKH Raycon. That was who this was. That's right. And then the batteries, I got some high voltage batteries in here, and you got the little camera. I probably need to replace. They probably have some nicer cameras out and about right now. So all you have to do is you take the camera and you solder it directly onto the terminal where the battery plugs in. So it plugs in. It's constantly just fed power by the battery. So it eats power from the drone, but it's a trade-off you're willing to have when you can fly through the goggles and like go through the legs of your dining room table and stuff. It's really neat. I used to fly through the rafters of the warehouse at the hobby shop, and we had races and all sorts of fun stuff with these little guys. That's how you actually get really good at flying the big ones, is practicing with the little ones. So, and doing it on here is also what I do. And this is the controller that I use. It's a Tyrannus X7. It's got beautiful joysticks. They do make Hall effect joysticks now, pure magnetic, that are pretty sweet, pretty swaggy. But I'm not gonna lie, these are really nice and smooth. Very tunable. I've opened this controller up in streams before, and we've tuned it and dialed it in just the exact right tension that I wanted for each feeling, because as you're flying the drone, you got throttle and turning on one, and then on the other side you got all the tilting mechanisms. So technically they're doing different things for a similar purpose. So having the exact right amount of resistance for each little thing, pretty handy dandy, not gonna lie. So I will be practicing more with this. I do need to get ready because I am trying to do a new drone build while I'm out here in Phoenix. Parts are cheap, and land is aplenty. Right next to my house, I have a giant open field, which will allow me to play with the RC cars, the drones, the things, and get myself a little bit more dialed in. Because I will admit, I went off to those islands, and I was ready and gung-ho, but it just, yeah, there's definitely more I probably could have done. So, just in preparation and getting ready for the experience, I met drone pilots out there. I didn't even have a drone that I could fly. That this is not something you can fly outside. So when I really wanted to dive mountains with the homies, I couldn't do it, and I didn't have any of the stuff. And building it out there was, I could have, and it's just all our excuses. Life is a journey. Live your path. Live your way. You'll see me chasing mountains, diving beaches, chilling under palm trees, all over the planet. It's kind of my thing. So even when in doubt, regardless of what anyone else has, that's why I have my own little creation here. Oh wait, can we switch this camera? This camera can go and do a transform and a flip UD floppity. Let's flip that horizontally. Yeah. So this whole beauty right here. Yes, this is my time machine. It really is. So, Paradise time machine, ability to connect and do things with all of the people. All these folders had really cool icons and stuff. Like, I went in here. Okay, so I'll show you guys how I nerd on Windows. So with this, you can go into the properties of each folder. So this one's everything else, and then so we'll go into the advanced. No, we're gonna go into customize, change icons. Now, with everything, that's probably going to be like the Earth and the internet. And now you can go, what the flippity flop? There. Do it. Do it. Dude, it didn't do it. It's really not happy. It doesn't have that one. Does it not even have that one? It might not even have that one. It really doesn't like that icon for some reason. I'll put a mouse in front of it. It won't even put a mouse in front of it. Oh, see, this is the thing, man. Like, I just want to control. Everything is glitching. What is this glitching stuff going on? Cancel. Okay, if I hit OK, it still doesn't do anything. Video goods. Property. Customize. Change icon. Video-y thing, so I know I had like a tape. Here we go. Videos? No, that's pictures. Gotta be a good video thing. I know there was. I was like, damn, that was good. And I can't find it. Okay, moving action star. Apply. Okay. Dude! Yeah, see, that's what I'm just done with Windows. Windows is wild. Fucking so stupid. Wild how far down the rabbit hole it goes. I mean, it's pretty par to the show. That's why we call it Down the Rabbit Hole. So thank you all for joining. Yet again, I will go ahead and check the stream, see how everything worked. It's 1 in the morning here. I'm gonna go to sleep. Until then, see you guys all tomorrow. I think everything worked out fairly decent. We gave over an hour long. I wanted to make sure I went for an hour and see how the quality was. and we'll see how that replay is. So, much love, everyone. Thank you all for joining me. TheeBucketMan, hot worldwide, Phoenix, Arizona. We out here. Much love, fam. Cheers. Have a good one. Until next time. Make your paradise. Don't forget to grab your bucket merch. www.theebucketstore.com. Love you all. Like, follow, subscribe. See you all next time. Cheers.